pulling. Happy Labor Day. I hope everyone has had a wonderful weekend. It's been beautiful here in Arkansas still, again. I want to thank everyone for your participation. You guys have been great within the group. I appreciate that. We all learn from each other, right? So the more you participate, the more we all learn. So, and there are no such thing as there's no such thing as a stupid question. So go ahead and ask your questions, make your comments, tell your stories, keeping them compliant, please. Yes, we can talk about emotions, but let's just be cautious about, some of the other words that we use. So, having said that, tonight what I want to talk to you about is how does the body store trauma? How does that happen that can even later cause us physical symptoms? So first, what I want to do is take a look at how Webster defines trauma. So 3 different definitions or explanations within Webster. The first one is an injury, such as a wound, to living tissue caused by an extrinsic agent. The second is a disordered psychic or behavioral state resulting from severe mental or emotional stress or physical injury. The third is an emotional upset. So that's pretty basic, right? Trauma. Now, I want to read you something from Conquering Toxic Emotions. So hopefully you've been keeping up in the book. It'll be much easier for you. If you do, you'll understand things much more easily, I believe. I'm going to the introduction section. My father was a wheat farmer. During harvest one year, I was burning trash and some of the embers blew out of the barrel. Within minutes, the fire was spreading toward the fuel tanks and the wheat fields. As panic ensued, I felt as if someone had hit me in the stomach, and nausea quickly followed. It was awful, you guys. It was terrible. Probably one of the most scary incidents in my life. So today, still, can we turn everything off? When I smell smoke, I go back to that. I feel that. And for a long time, I would get nauseous when I would smell smoke because it continued to bring me back to that very negative experience. Now, thankfully, my father and the men from all the the neighboring farms came and they got the fire put out before it got to the fuel tanks, and it didn't burn any of the wheat fields or anything, but it could have been devastating. So to me, that was traumatic. That was a trauma. And what happened during that period of time, and it, sometimes it feels like it takes forever, like something's going on forever and it's just a matter of seconds or minutes. But during that period of time, my brain created a pathway that connected the smell of smoke to the emotions that I experienced that day. Now, what's really important to understand is what's traumatic to one of us may not be traumatic to someone else at all. For example, another example from my own life. When I was in the 3rd grade, the teacher called on me, and I was so shy, you guys. I was horribly withdrawn and shy. I didn't want anybody to talk to me. I didn't want anybody to look at me. I just wanted to be left alone. So my teacher called on me in 3rd grade and asked me to answer a math problem. Well, I didn't know the answer. And she kind of scolded me. At least that's the way I took it. That's how I felt, for not knowing the answer. And so I could feel that flush of embarrassment. Anyone ever felt embarrassed and you just, you just feel it. It just comes up your chest and your neck and your face. And I'm sure I was bright red and it was just horrible. And I just wanted to go somewhere and hide. So math very quickly, to say the least, became a subject that I really, really did not enjoy. And internally, I would cringe every time I thought that a teacher might call upon me and ask me a question for the rest of my school time. So to me, that was a trauma. And I carried that through all of the rest of the years of school. Now, some of you, that might have happened to you, and you may have just very healthily laughed it off and never gave it another thought. You could have cared less. This girl, not so much. What about things like falling off of our bicycle? You know, if we fall off the bicycle and we get cuts and scrapes and bruises, that might be traumatic to somebody. And to somebody else, you know what? They wipe themselves off, they get back on the bicycle, and they go again. It doesn't really faze them, right? So it's different for all of us. I have a friend that was in a car accident when she was a young adult, and for years after that, she was afraid to drive. She actually did not drive, and she didn't even want to ride in a car. Now, I know that a lot of people feel that way, but considering how many car accidents there are, I don't think that's the typical thing, right? That doesn't happen to most people. So we have to remember that we're all unique, and it's important that we understand and not make judgments on how someone else should handle a situation. Now, thankfully, I've worked through most, if not all, of the trauma that resulted from that fire that I accidentally started. But I still remember that incident. When I smell smoke, I just don't feel sick to my stomach anymore. So that's a really, really good thing for me. Now, when we experience a trauma, the corresponding emotions resulting from that trauma have a frequency. Everything's got energetic frequencies, right? So unresolved emotional experiences are recorded in our cell memory, or for you science people, DNA. I just like to think about it as cell memory. My brain comprehends that a little bit better. Doesn't sound so intimidating. And they actually stay there as live programming until they're dealt with or properly filed away. Now, until that occurs, that frequency, that energy has to go somewhere in our body. And it's going to go and reside in the area of the body that most closely resonates with that emotional frequency or energy. Now, I like to call that stuffing. I say that's how we stuff our emotions. We don't deal with them, we stuff them. And sometimes we don't realize we do that. Other times we do that on purpose. If you've ever had something really traumatic happen, or maybe you lost someone, and you know it's too painful right now to even let yourself think about that loss or really move into and feel that grief, right? So we've on purpose stuffed those things. Now, let's talk about some examples of what that looks like to you and I. Sadness, grief, depression. Those things, those emotions, those energies settle in our lungs and our large intestines. So some of the physical symptoms, now they could be much more than these, but some of them might be breathing problems. Anything going on in the respiratory system, right? A decrease in oxygen within our blood. Constipation and pain in those areas. And sometimes it's just unexplained. Just kind of all of a sudden, we start to have symptoms or pain or whatever in these certain areas and go, gee, I don't know. And I know a lot of us have experienced symptoms, and we've even gone for medical tests and sought medical attention and are told that everything's normal. All the tests come back normal. But we continue to experience these symptoms. And we're sometimes told it's all in our head. So, you know, I guess there's something to that. But it could be, it started there, but it's somewhere else in the body now. Let's talk about worry. How many of you worry? Anybody worry out there? Anybody a worrier out there? Anxious? You mistrust people? You have a hard time, you know, trusting people for some reason? Something happened at some point, and so that's a difficult thing for you? Well, those things typically settle in our spleen, in the stomach, and in the pancreas. So some of those symptoms might include any type of digestion challenges, problems, difficulties in eliminating, lower immunity, blood sugar challenges, and again, pain, just pain in those areas. what about extreme grief or any other excessively stressful event? And there are a lot of them. You know, there are lists of things like the death of a loved one, a divorce, loss of job, loss of a child, all those different things are rated among, the top 10 most stressful things for people. They can have a devastating impact on us physically. And again, nothing physical happened, but we feel it in our body physically. So those emotions actually have an energy, and they have an effect on us, because the higher the energy level that we have, the higher or the better that we're going to feel. And speaking of, I feel like I better get a little bit of highest potential on. Anybody like highest potential? I really, really love it. I use it every day. I need it every day because I really do want to reach my highest potential. Okay, so have you ever heard a saying that somebody died from a broken heart? Statistics actually show that in the days following the loss of a loved one, our risk of experiencing a heart attack shoots up 21 times. 21 times, you guys. That's huge. So there's a whole lot more to that than what we think. And later, as we progress through this class and through the book, we're gonna understand why us saying, "Oh, my broken heart," or "you broke my heart," is not a good confession to make. It's not something that is in our highest interest. So now that we've established how and why and where things get stored in our body until we're able to and to release them. Now, there are times that we've got things that we stuff that we don't even remember. And I'm not saying we have to go back through and recall and dredge all that up, because we don't. Sometimes we will remember it and there'll be a reason for that. And other times we just know that something's gone from the body. And that's the most amazing part. So we can address them, we can get them stored properly, and we can move on and be a happier, healthier individual. And those around us are going to be happier and healthier too. The good news is pure, therapeutic, young living essential oils are so powerful in assisting us in allowing the body to remain or return to homeostasis. Essential oils are known for their ability to travel through the olfactory system as we breathe them in, just like I'm doing with the highest potential, and they find their way to the amygdala region in the brain just as any other smell would. This portion of our brain is a part of the limbic system, and it plays a major role in storing and releasing emotional traumas. So it's like, think of it like a little file cabinet. And if things get stored there properly and they're in their place, then that's a really good thing. We want them to be stored there versus somewhere in the body. I'm really, really thankful for that, aren't you? Isn't that awesome? God has made a way for everything. He knew the things that we were going to experience, and He's made provision for everything that we ever are going to need. So if you guys have questions about what we talked about tonight, I would encourage you to post them in the comments of the video, and I will go back through those and I will do my very best to answer them. So, are you writing in your gratitude journal? I hope so, because you're going to find, maybe at first it seems like an extra chore, but you are going to find that you're going to come to love doing that. It's going to be so empowering to you. Now, tomorrow we're going to delve right into energy, so I hope you're ready. Make sure you got your cedar wood out, thumb, cedar wood, roof of mouth. That's the way to do it, you guys. We'll be back and be talking to you again really soon, in just a few more days. And then we're going to delve into getting out our book and getting an action plan. You guys are going to be ready for that? We need to lay some groundwork first, but we're getting really, really close to that. So you guys have a wonderful rest of the night. Love and appreciate all of you, and I speak many, many blessings to you. We'll talk to you soon.